This episode is brought to you by High Point Market. Welcome to the Design Dash podcast, your guide to designing a life you love. Join us as we explore the keys to living the life you want without compromise. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Design Dash podcast. I am your co-host, Melissa Grove, and I'm here with my co-host, Laura Umansky. And today we are thrilled to welcome our guest, Libby Langdon. You know who she is. She is a designer, author, TV personality, known for her easy, elegant, everyday style. And she is the creative force. If you've ever seen her speak, you know what I'm talking about. She's the creative force behind Libby Langdon Interiors and has built a powerhouse brand that includes licensed collections with Fairfield Chair. If you were at High Point, you probably saw her there. Krystorama Lighting, Paragon Art, and A&B Home. Her work has been featured everywhere from AD, How is Beautiful, everything in between. And she's been a familiar face on the Today Show, the Rachel Ray Show, and HGTV's Small Space, Big Style. You just wrapped up, Libby, another exciting High Point market. So we want to talk about what's new, what's next, but also we're going to talk about the past and how you've built such a multifaceted career. So welcome. We're excited to chat.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so excited to be chatting with you.
Well, let's talk first about High Point because we all just got back from it, but our High Point experience was a little bit different than your High Point experience. Why don't we talk first?
Yes. So it's interesting. A lot of people don't know, but I was actually born and raised in High Point. I've lived in New York.
Way.
Yeah. I've lived in New York for 40 years. But yeah, so when I go back, everybody's like, "Oh, where are you going to stay when you go to High Point?" And I'm like, "Actually, with my mom." And she makes
my
me
childhood bedroom. I love that.
So yeah, so for me, High Point is just a very different experience. And it's a different experience also business-wise too. So I usually go down on, like I went down the Monday before market and set up my area that we call the Libby Zone in the Fairfield showroom, which is where I have my upholstery, case goods, wall decor, lighting, accessories. So I'm down there setting up. And then the showroom opens Wednesday. We do the sales meeting with all the sales reps. So I walk them through new introductions. And this is why I designed this way. And this is available in these finishes and these fabrics. And then the showroom opens to retailers and designers on Thursday. And so for me, High Point is fun, but I'm there selling, you know. I'm also looking at things for clients. And then Chris, my junior designer, he comes down. And so he's out sort of looking through showrooms and looking at vendors and new vendors and resources. But yeah, I'm there working it. I'm selling. So, but it's fun. I love it. And I think it's a chance for me to connect with a lot of designers and friends that we don't get to see, or maybe we're just in contact on social media. But yeah, I'm there working it. And there's a whole other side to High Point that I think a lot of designers don't see. Like Fairfield, every morning at 7:30 a.m., they do a sales meeting for the sales reps. And it's probably 60 or 70 sales reps, and they go through what everybody heard the day before. So it's a constant, it's just you're constantly trying to get ahead of it and figure out what are people doing, what are they hearing, what are they liking, what are they not liking, what are buyers stopping and taking pictures of, what are they zipping past as they're going through the showroom. So it's just, there's a whole backside to High Point that is really fascinating. And if you haven't seen that end of it, it's incredible. I mean, what manufacturers are doing to try to establish business, grow business, and hold on to business, it's kind of tremendous.
That is so interesting. I've never thought about it that way. I mean, so obvious now that you said it. Like, I'm going there as a buyer. I mean, also as a speaker and kind of behind the scenes in that regard. But really, I'm there. I'm buying. I'm not selling. And so that's a very nice place to be, right? Like you're being wined and dined. You're like fed alcohol at 2 p.m. and like food on top. And you're like, oh my gosh, welcome, welcome. It's still exhausting. It is exhausting, but I cannot even fathom really now that you're talking about the level of just brain work and physicality required
Yeah.
to like get out there and introduce a line. And
Yeah.
that's
And
after it's already been designed. So like that's a lot.
yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too because um the I know that there's some people that have collections and they'll sort of zip in, they'll be in the showroom for a few hours and then they're
Yes.
gone.
I know those
I'm
designs.
there working it, humping it, starting at 7:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. And I kind of feel like I'm on roller skates because I'm between Fairfield and then I'm doing tours at Krystorama and then I'm doing lunches at Paragon. But I'm there because, just to design a collection is great, but you've got to get it out into the marketplace. And the best person to do that is me. So,
Like a book
it is just a
tour or like
completely.
being a musician and launching a new album. Like it's really, you've got to be in front of people.
You have to be. You just have to be. And I love it, but I will admit I am on all the time. So the second I hit that Greensboro airport, I'm like a step away from a baseball hat and sunglasses and I go sit in the corner
Oh, yeah.
and I can see people like, "Hi, hi." And I'm like, "Hi, don't talk to me."
Who do you think I am?
One of these days, it's just gonna be
So
like
you had mentioned
scarf
that,
and
like, you're
glasses.
listening to what the designers are saying about the product. Does that influence your design for the future, or are you just thinking at it from, like, a sales perspective, or
No, it absolutely informs the design. I think the other thing that informs the design are clients,
Yeah.
listening to what they like and what they don't like. And I feel that I'm also very responsible to the manufacturer. I'm not designing a hot pink velvet tete-a-tete sofa because my clients don't want a hot pink tete-a-tete velvet sofa. So, I mean, I would love that client, trust me, but so I feel that I have a much more practical, kind of pragmatic approach to what I design and how I design it. But yeah, and what's really interesting is, there's my name, huge Libby Langdon for Fairfield. My pictures on hang tags. Every now and then people have no idea that the person who's sitting over in the corner on iPad is the person who's designed everything. So
Oh
every
god.
now and then people just say stuff and
Uh,
sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I love that." And I'll say, "Thank you so much." And then every now and then somebody will be like, "Meh, no big deal. Let's move on." And you're just kind of like,
Thank you
"Hey,
so much.
that's why they make chocolate and vanilla, man. It's not for everybody."
And so, okay, so I really wanna go back, to
Mhm.
where this started because I have listened to, you guest on other podcasts before, and I so this is not gonna be a new story for me, but I think it's gonna be so valuable for the people who haven't heard where you started. So, and we talk a lot about the pivot here, like
Mhm.
pivoting from past careers, pivoting within the industry. So I'd love for you to just take us back. Where did this start?
Yeah. So I feel like this is like my fourth or fifth career. But I actually used to be an actress and a producer, and I worked in TVs and movies. And I had a production company with my now ex-husband, and I was married for 11 years. And this is probably the ultimate pivot. Yeah, so he left me for somebody else. We'd been married for 11 years. Best thing that could ever have happened because if you know who my husband is now, he's the nicest man on the planet and he's smoking hot. So life puts you exactly where you're supposed to be.
There you go.
But yeah, so at that point, I was like, all right, well, wait, my life is just upended. What am I going to do now? And so I went to my agent at the time and I love cooking, I love entertaining. And I said, I think I might want to audition for like a cooking show, maybe host some kind of cooking show. I want to do something completely different. And my agent said, yeah, you kind of need a cookbook or a restaurant. And I was like, oh, I don't have either one. So, but he said if you wanted to audition for some kind of makeover TV show, they were really hot at that point, and he said, "I bet you could host something like that." And I had gone to fashion design school. I'm from High Point. My mom was a designer. My dad was in textiles. I grew up around interior design, but I was by no means an interior designer. So I auditioned for Trading Spaces at the time. They were looking for a new host, and I didn't get that. But the producers called me back 3 months later and they said, "We're doing a show on Fox. It's called Design Invasion. You would need to be the host and the interior designer, and you'd have 12 hours and $6,000 to make over a room you've never seen before."
Oh,
Well, I was
easy,
newly
done.
divorced. Yeah, I was newly divorced. The worst thing that could have happened just happened, right? So that, like, it's never going to get worse than that. And I think what happened was I just became fearless. I just literally thought, what is the worst thing that could happen? And so I auditioned and I got it. And for the next 8 months, I traveled to a different city every week with a production assistant, a U-Haul truck, and a handyman.
Oh, so
And
glamorous. Television's so glamorous.
so glamorous. But that was how I started in interior design. And I think what was great was because it literally, you had 12 hours. The second, and it was just one room in the house, but we started with the worst rooms ever. Oh my
Like, I
gosh.
can't even fathom this.
Oh, you cannot believe how hideous these places were. But the good thing was I felt very confident because I was like, basically my mom's cat could make this room over and it's going to look better than what it looks like right now. But I think it was
It's
great
a
for
low
me.
bar, so that's a great place to
It
that's a
was
good place to start.
the bar was so low. The bar was so low. But it was great because I think I ended up using my all the things that I had learned up until that point, right? So I had on-camera experience. I had some design experience. And then also as a producer, I was a problem solver,
Yeah.
just trying to figure out how to make things work when they weren't going to work. And so everything I had learned up until that point got me ready for that exact time in my life. And it's hard because I think you talk about pivoting, and I had no idea that that was where life was going to point me, but I was open to everything. And it completely changed my life. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, although I didn't see it at that exact moment. So if a big pivot is coming up, people just like run screaming into the void. It's all good.
Those shows are getting a resurgence now too on social media. I don't know if you ever see them, like especially like the worst Trading Spaces rooms ever. I've seen Design
Yeah.
Invasion come up on my TikTok before because
Yeah.
now I feel like those design shows are just so ubiquitous and like design seems so approachable, right? And so it's
Totally. Totally. And I think the other thing that was great about doing that show is it got me traveling into real people's homes across America. It's so scary how people live out there. Oh, it's so scary how people live out there. So, but I
But
think
you can
that
help them.
definitely informs a lot of the product that I design for sure. But yeah, it's interesting the resurgence of those shows. But yeah, it was a great training ground.
yeah.
And so
How does
you
that
say
influence you? How does that influence what you're doing now? Or does it? Or you're just like, okay, that part of my life is over.
No, I think it definitely influences what I'm doing now. I think um working with real people, it makes me realize I'm on the front line as designers. We are dealing with the end user, the final consumer, the people that are taking their hard-earned money, and they're either going to spend it on your design services, your products, whatever you're doing. So I think there's an awareness and a good knowledge of what people are ready to spend their money on helps you build your business. So yeah, I think it absolutely affects how I work and move through my lanes in licensing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you're a designer, then you know that High Point is the epicenter for all things interior design. All your favorite furniture vendors are there, your favorite designers, manufacturers, tastemakers, trendsetters. Market happens every April and October, and we hope you'll register and attend. We're there each market, and we're always finding something new. We know you will too. Check out highpointmarket.org for more information.
So you said a second ago, run screaming into the void, which I think there's a time and place that all of us probably end up doing that.
Yeah.
But I also know you're a planner and a goal setter.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I'm a big goal setter. That for me is really kind of the beginning, and I do it in September because I have that back to school mentality,
Huh.
but I write down where do I see myself in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, and by setting those goals and actually writing them down and keeping them in your desk and looking at them, I think just keeps you on track. And again, like I said, I stay open to a lot of things. I don't know what's gonna come down the pike, but what's fascinating is oftentimes staying open to a lot of different things really does help you hone in and achieve some of those goals that you really wanna target and tackle. So, yeah, I'm a big goal setter, but I recommend everybody write it down on paper and keep it somewhere you can look at it.
I think writing it down is critical because that, I don't know, it makes it, I'm sure, Melissa, you would have a reason for this with the psychology. Like there's some psychological or cognitive reason that writing it down makes it real or can
Yeah.
make it
Well, I mean, I
manifest.
don't know, but we talked about goals yesterday, even. And I was just like, I know that we have them all percolating and just flying around in our heads, but I was like, I have to document it and I have to write it down. And so I don't know, there's something about it that just makes it real, just taking it outside of my brain and putting it on paper. It's like, okay, well, now I have to be accountable to this thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. I think you're also kind of putting it out to the universe. I'm
Yeah.
here. This is what I'm focused on, and this is how I'm moving towards it. So, absolutely, 100%.
September is an interesting time to do that because it really, like, you can choose any time. It's arbitrary,
Yeah,
right? Like, whatever it means
anytime,
you could.
exactly.
January is coming up. That's when a lot of people do goal setting. Like business
Yeah,
goal setting happens December, January. In our Design Dash community, December is like our vision month and we're planning for the
right,
following year. But really,
right.
you could do it today. It doesn't matter. It's an arbitrary date, right?
Yep,
So
100%.
so take me back to like, okay, I'm 8 months on the road. I just film. I'm an interior designer now, clearly, because I did
Yeah,
probably I don't know how many houses within that time.
that
Um,
was crazy.
but how did you decide? Like, was it that experience you were like, I got to do product? Like, how in the world so many people want to do product and it sounds so glamorous and so creative and wonderful, but it's a strategy and it's not easy. So talk about that
Yes.
decision.
So, it's interesting because I think I knew because I started in interior design so much later in life. I didn't go to school for it. I kind of just thought in my head, I'm not going to be the architectural digest designer.
Hmm.
Um, and how am I going to make money and supplement? And I know a lot of people tell you don't get into licensing because you want to make money. I think that's a load of bull. Get
Okay.
into it if you wanna make money. Now, you have to do it a specific way, but I think I knew once I started in interior design and I had my own company and I'd finished the show, that I definitely wanted to get into product design because I thought it would just be another arm of my company that would be very lucrative. The challenge was how do I establish myself enough so a company says, oh, yeah, it makes sense. We should partner with Libby and have her make product. And so I did another show on HGTV called Small Space, Big Style. And
Yeah.
I did 5 seasons of that show. And
Oh,
so
wow.
after I did that show, I had compiled enough small space tips that I wrote a book about design in small spaces. And I thought, oh, well, if I have a book, I'm going to be an expert. And that's what I need to be in this day and age with social media and how accessible things are. You don't have to have a book to get a licensing deal. But that was something I thought at the time. That was a goal. That was something I
Right.
had, set for myself. But yeah, at that point, licensing was something I really knew I wanted to do. I just felt like I needed a really good foundation before I could start approaching people. And I think a lot of times people aren't sure how do you get into it? How do
Mhm.
How do you
Yeah, it's almost like
start?
a
And
black box. Like it's a very, I don't know if it's a well-kept secret or maybe there's just so many different ways, but
I
how
think
did you?
there's so many different ways to do it and to get into it. And I think the biggest thing is to take as simple a view towards it as possible. I think
Mm,
oftentimes people overcomplicate it, they overthink it. Sometimes it's as simple as going to people that you work with that aren't creating product that you think they'd be able to create, and you're able to bring them a new audience, and they're able to give you an avenue for product. So,
mm.
a perfect example was I was working on a big project in Rhode Island, and the parents had gifted the clients a custom wool and silk rug from this company in Rhode Island. Well, we designed this beautiful custom wool and silk rug, and the manufacturer said, "Would you like to design a line of rugs?" And I was like, "Actually, I would like to design a line of rugs."
Funny you should
And
ask.
yeah, exactly. And so it ended up not being a great partnership because they didn't have sales reps. They didn't
Right.
have it was just a small company, but it was a great way to kind of get my feet wet. But boy, did I design some ugly rugs. Oh, oh. Some were great, some were horrible. So it was definitely a learning curve, but reaching out to companies that are not doing what you think you'd be bringing to the table is really the best way to start. And oftentimes people say, do you get a licensing agent? Do you not? One of the most unsuccessful deals I ever did was a project, a partnership where I had a licensing agent, and the agent was just trying to pair me up with anybody. They just wanted to get a deal done, and it just was not a good fit. I mean,
Yeah.
everything was so expensive by the time they brought it to market. I
Mm.
wasn't even gonna be able to use my own product for my projects, and that's just not a good fit. I mean, I think I designed, like, a leather and nickel magazine rack, and it was, like, $900, and I was like, "Oh, this is not good." So, I think it's important that you find a partner that is in your lane, and even more important than that, you wanna know what your lane is and be really specific on that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So how did you hone that? You talked about I mean, you're not a trained designer. We talk to so many people in our community who always feel that imposter syndrome of, I didn't go
Right.
to school for it. I feel like I'm good at it, but now you are selling furniture, you're a TV personality about interior design. How
That's
did you
such a
hone
good
hone
example.
that?
So, I think what I did was, when I knew I wanted to get into licensing, I really boiled down what my brand is, and that is easy, elegant, everyday style.
Hmm.
And these are the things that I think make me successful in my lane and help point me in the direction of my lane. So the easy is that's who I am. I'm approachable, I'm accessible, I'm not uptight. I want to make design approachable and fun and accessible. And then the elegant is I think you can really have elevated design, um, and still make it functional and work for your life and different budgets and different ranges. And then so it's the easy, elegant, and the everyday. That's who my clients are. They're people with kids and pets and friends who drink red wine. So I think the everyday is that also taps into a little bit of my path in makeover television. So once I sort of boiled down my jam into those, 4 words, everything just became really clear and really easy for me as I was moving through the path of licensing because I just was able to say, "This is who I am,
Yeah.
this is what I offer, and this is what I'm all about."
And so you mentioned lucrative. Like you got into this to make money. And I've heard that
Mhm.
too. People have said they caution like doing a licensing deal, you may not or writing a book, you may not make money. It's really just for brand exposure. But talk to me about going into this with you want to make money here. And is it a
Mhm.
long game? Does it just take time? Like how or is it right away? Like how does that work?
It's interesting. In 2011, I partnered with a company out of North Carolina, Braxton Color, and I went to them and I went to the son of Braxton Color, and I said, who I knew, and I said, I would love to design a line of upholstery for you all. I felt like what they were doing was really tired. It was
Mhm.
old, but they had the capacity and the wherewithal to do anything. They just needed new frames, they needed new styles. So I reached out to him and said, I'd love to do a collection. And he was like, oh, yeah, we can design some furniture. I was like, no, 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 no. I wanted to be Libby Langdon for Braxton Color. And that was just upholstery. And because it was manufactured right in North Carolina, we literally met in April and I launched in October.
Wow,
So
that's almost unheard of.
it is unheard of. So that was a total, grab at time. Now, I'll say with Krystorama or when things are imported, it's a long haul. It's a year and a half, but now I'm with Fairfield and I've been with them for 6 years. I've been with Krystorama for 11 years. I've been with Paragon for 6 years. So I do think there are some people that get in and it's more of a vanity project, then
Right.
I really want to commit to the time, the effort, and the energy to make this lucrative. And so sometimes people are in and out with a manufacturer for a year and a half or 2 years, and then they go somewhere else. But I think when you're not responsible to the manufacturer is when the partnership isn't lucrative and it doesn't last. If you just want to design wacky stuff, you're not going to make money. It's not going to
Right.
happen. Um, and the other thing is even things like with my Krystorama collection, Chris in my office, he does all the CAD for the Krystorama. So we figure out how a light fixture that's, 29 by 30 can be broken down and a step away from flat pack.
You do
So
that in-house. The manufacturer's not doing that?
yeah, so we
More
do all the
power to you.
CAD.
Wow.
We do all the CAD and then um they'll send it to the factory, but I want to put in what the wattage is. I want to put in that it's square metal tubing. So all of those details when things are being produced overseas allow me to control it as much as I possibly can. So they figure out how it's all actually going in the box.
Mhm.
But for me, I'm very, very particular and not too precious. I'm not, if they say, oh, could we change this and make it this way so we could do this? I'm like, absolutely.
Sure. Right.
I'm sure there are some people that are like, nope, it's got to be that way. Well, it's the difference between getting 500 fixtures in a container or 50. I'm going to
Right.
make more
Yeah.
money if I get 500 in the container than 50. So, there's a real responsibility to it. And the other thing I would say is a lot of people think you get to the market, right? And you're there and you're like, yay, I designed everything. I'm just going to sit back and let the sales force do it. The way it's lucrative is if you're out there
Right.
selling it, pushing it, um, going to shows. Like I'm doing all these recaps of market for designers that don't make it to High
Mhm.
Point. So I'll do one in New Jersey, I'll do one in Long Island, I'm going to do one in Connecticut, and so it's just trying to reach people and talk about your product and just get the word out there. So it's endless, but it's fun.
I I think this is really eye-opening and great for designers to listen to that think they may want a product line. Like, there's a lot to consider here.
There's so much to consider. And I think the other thing that you have to realize is clients are watching.
Right.
Clients are watching. So when I'm, you know, at the Fairfield showroom or at Krystorama or where, Paragon, people are like, wait, you're supposed to be looking at, you know, end tables for me, so there's a
Like,
real
trust me, I am.
balance. There's a real balance to that. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, don't get me wrong. Every now and then I'm texting somebody a picture. I'm like, I saw the coolest, you know, credenza, it's going to be perfect, so
Yes.
there's a real balance to that. And I think the other thing is you have to have your company ready for you to pivot off of working on a design job, and all of a sudden, because product doesn't wait, the manufacturer's
Right.
not going to wait. They're going to say, we need this information right now. And I drop everything, pull up CAD, whatever, and give
Mhm.
answers. So you need to be sure that your team and your operation is ready for
Well,
that
and
amount of
your
attention to
marketing as well,
detail.
right?
100%,
Like, we've never
100%.
marketed a line together, Melissa, but I mean, I did a wildly unsuccessful partnership with a product years ago, and I
Yeah.
gave up after that. I was like, "Well, that sucked really bad, and I'm not doing that again." But that was before Melissa was working with me, I think. You didn't go through
I
that
I
with
didn't know
Yeah,
it was.
and so now we're in a much different spot with our
Yes.
entire team. It's possible, but honestly, I'm gun shy now because of that experience. It was so bad.
Don't be gun shy. I think all the different opportunities and partnerships and things that come along, um, are there for that moment in time, but it's not to say that you're not gonna take everything that you learned from that and slay it with a different partner,
I love this
I mean,
optimism. I'm gonna remember this.
yes, come on, jump in. But I think really and truly the right people connect and come together at the right time. Another thing I would just throw in as a small little nugget, um, family-owned businesses for me are the best that I've partnered with. The best that
I
I've
can see
partnered
that.
with. There's there's a genuine there's just a genuineness to the way they move through their part of the industry, and I feel that that has really served me well. So
Hmm.
whenever there's the opportunity or it's a family-owned business, there's just a certain level of integrity, there's a certain level of, civility, and, it just I don't know, that's been a great recipe for success for me.
Hmm.
Yeah. They have a responsibility for their all the generations that came before them, right? Like, stewardship.
Yes, they do, and there's a level of respect, and there's just a there's just a great level across the board in the business when it's a family-owned business.
Mm.
Melissa, do you have any
I
follow-ups
just
here?
want to ask, like, I know we just finished up market, but we're
Yeah.
also already thinking about spring market. Like, when do you oh, are you
Oh,
releasing any
yeah.
like, what's on the horizon for you for spring market or even in 2026?
Yeah, so I go back to High Point on November 18th for the fabric market to choose my new
Um,
fabrics for the April market. And then we do a huge meeting on the new product that has been in the works, that will launch in April. And then you also get a fun rundown of, what sold in October, what didn't sell in October, so there are a lot of layers to it. But yeah, I'm in constantly designing mode, new things, new product, especially for like a Krystorama where it does take up to a year and a half for the product to actually get ready to
mm,
ship. So yeah, it's a constant churning of design and ideas, and but it's fun, and there are other products that I want to do, and so yeah, it's ever changing and always moving, but I like it that way.
yeah.
Same. I do too. That sounds I didn't even consider textile market. Okay. It's a whole
Yeah.
thing. So
Oh,
let's
it's a whole
launch
thing.
into a few rapid fire questions to wrap us up. So
Love
this is
it.
probably like asking which one of your children is your favorite, and you may not have an answer, but do you have a favorite piece you've designed? Is there one thing that like, oh damn, that was so good?
Yes. Yes, it's an etagere, and it really answered everything that drives me nuts about poorly designed etageres. It has an LED strip light under every single shelf. So every shelf is illuminated. It's finished on the top because it drives me bonkers when there's nothing finished on the top of the etagere and I want to put something up there and you have to like fold cardboard so that like the vase doesn't fall. Yes, exactly. Or, it's a double height ceiling and you look over and you're like, nice, I'm looking into the top of an unfinished etagere. So I would say that for me, as crazy as it sounds, it just checks a lot of boxes that drive me nuts. So
how did it sell? How did it resonate with market?
It sells like crazy.
Wow. I mean, people need an etagere.
They can't keep the thing in stock, and it's been selling for 6 years. So I hit a nerve with my etagere design.
People are as angry about unfinished tops as you.
Oh, it's not just me.
What is one thing you always buy at market or when you're sourcing for yourself?
Oh, for myself. What is one thing I always buy? I'll usually, this is mostly when I travel, but I'll always buy a silk scarf. I wear a lot of silk scarves, like an Hermes scarf I always buy, for myself, I'll always buy a scarf when I'm traveling because it reminds me of that trip. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. A design trend that you're ready to see retired.
Oh, the tight back, round, curved sofa. I'm ready to see that retired. And I don't use a lot of them. I've used them a few times, but I feel like they're just there for looks. I feel like the husband always says, oh, okay, well, this isn't a room we're really going to sit in. So I'm okay to retire the tight back, curved, like uncomfortable sofa. I'm good.
Yeah, they've been around for a few markets now. I think they still have their place. But I hear you. Is that the same for any tight back, tight seat? Like they're just not.
No. I love a tight seat. Okay. It's just I feel like some of these curved sofas were very low. The backs are very low. You kind of have to get like this if you want to be comfortable. So I'm okay without those. But I think we're going to see them for a while longer. They're not going anywhere.
I agree. All right. Last question. Guilty pleasure show or book or podcast, any guilty pleasure to binge after a long time at market or an install? Like what's going to take your brain off of everything?
It's going to sound crazy because I don't really watch TV shows. I love to watch golf. I'm a big golfer. So anytime I have a chance to watch golf, it is just so relaxing and so comforting to me. I love it. And then I am a big New York Jets fan, which feel bad for me because it is not easy. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are like, oh, wow, I can't believe she admitted that. But yes, I'm a big New York Jets fan, and my husband makes me a margarita, and we have nachos, and I love it. Even though they stink, it's still really fun. It's kind of like a
problem. I think if you guys just need, I mean, obviously you already have a new coach, but just need
we need an overhaul, but it's still kind of like the ritual of it is really fun. So I don't watch any shows, but golf and football are really fun for me.
I mean, good enough for me. I like those. That's great. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. All the insight into licensing and product design and golf and football. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. This was really fun.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. I loved it. Loved it.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our next podcast coming live next week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, you can find us and more wonderful stories like these on design-.com. And make sure to follow us at Design Dasher on Instagram and TikTok. Till next time.